Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Saturday Special. We talk of the epidemics as if they are diseases, but there are many epidemics, the dimensions of which we do not realize. And as a matter of fact, sometimes we consider those epidemics to be positive while they are not. There is a hidden epidemic which is raging today, especially raging among the younger people. Bright, young, ambitious, hardworking. And then they are victims of depression, anxiety, suicide, not in one country but across the globe. It's really an epidemic. And it's a hidden epidemic, and that's the epidemic of being perfect. Perfectionism is the latest hidden epidemic, especially among the young people, which they have inherited from their parents and the grandparents. And you would be amazed that I'm talking of perfectionism as something negative, as something undesirable. Well, it's not so. The fact of the life is that every human being is an amalgam of the positives and the negatives. Every human being will be perfect to some extent, but not perfect in every way. However, when there is an absolutely irrational desire for flawlessness, combined with very harsh self-criticism, not self-appraisal. Now let's differentiate between self-appraisal and self-criticism. So when this desire to be absolutely flawless, like diamond sparkling like Kohinoor or others, and coupled with harsh self-criticism, on a deeper level, these two emotions make you depressed. You see that you have an irrational desire and you cannot fulfill it. Result, depression. Result, mental health. And that is why we see more violence. The expression of failure, where you want to be perfect, results in something which can be antisocial. It can be hurting yourself or hurting others. And why is it happening? Basically, if we see and compare historically, there have been ups and downs. There was a time when the people were contented with their lives and they didn't bother about competition. Then came in the age of competition and capitalism. But there were also same thoughts, like those of Marx and Engels, which said that the social equality is much better. Nevertheless, in the late 20th century, the concept of neoliberalism came into being. And this neoliberalism, which found full expression in people like Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, Brian Mulroney, was responsible for creating this havoc. Over the last 50 years, half a century, communal interest and civic responsibility, which are most important, these two concepts are progressively eroded. And they were replaced by focus on self-interest and competition in a supposedly free and open market space, which never is neither open nor free. The desire should have been on self-interest along with interest of the community. And there was a time when the people used to think, what about the impact of my action is going to be on my family, a microcosm of the community, then on the community, then on the country, but no longer. Today, it's me and me alone. Social media, school and the university testing, job performance appraisals, All these aim at sifting, sorting, and ranking with the peers, teachers, employers, neighbors, friends, juniors, and those people who rank poorly. In this logic of a market-based society dictates that those not coming at the top as a cream have something which is inferior, and they need to be castigated. They need to be thrown in the waste paper bags. They need to be dumped. Now, this feeling, when it arises, would naturally make you feel hollow. And there's a tremendous pressure on young people to demonstrate their values and outperform their peers. And there's an evidence that they are struggling to cope, but they cannot. And the result is this epidemic of perfectionism gives rise to the epidemic of the serious mental illness. Speak to the negative effects of this market society. And it's fundamentally changing the psyche and the thinking pattern of the young people who are only concerned with themselves. And added to that, the hedonistic view of life, enjoy it while you can. So when a person who is not so successful goes to the second person, enjoy while you can indulge in murder, can indulge in rape, can indulge in looting, can indulge in dacoity. And he has no concern of the societal factors. As a matter of fact, the leading psychologists like Paul Hewitt and Gordon Flett have always said that the younger people acting differently to their older peers is showing, in fact, a tendency towards perfectionism. There is a fight. Well, I can harm myself in a more cruel way than you can. Can you do it? And that's why the suicide pacts. Broadly speaking, as I said, it's an irrational desire. And the result is horrible. Perfectionists need not be told that what they have achieved, the possible outcomes, through the scores and the matrices and other people's approval, is sufficient enough. And while there should be striving towards better deals, there's nothing to be discussed about. You see, I'm not against being perfect. I'm against the irrational desire to be perfect. The epidemic is when it's irrational, when it crosses all the boundaries. I fully agree, and I always advocate that the aim of the life should be to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield, as Lord Tennyson wrote in Ulysses. Yes, but not yielding does not mean to kill others to go wrong. You need not indulge in self-destroying or community-destroying or other-destroying ideals so that you are at the top. You need not be a murderer and a saint to be a leader. So the whole concept has to change, and the symptom of this epidemic can be partially rescued if we make the young people feel safe, connect with others, and find self-worth within the market-based neoliberal societies. No, we cannot change the society, we cannot change the concepts have come to stay. And we have got to live with them. So, we try to adjust and make them compatible with the society and in consonance with their capabilities. Irrational ideas of perfectionism, of self, can be desirable at times and even necessary when the word, where performance, where status and image define a man's usefulness and value. You don't have to look far to find examples. Corporations and their marketeers offer all the manners of cosmetic and material solutions. But those cosmetic solutions and those material solutions are for the flawed customer. Similarly, the social platforms, the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, they are the platforms to exchange curations of the perfect version of oneself with style that others can understand and appreciate. As a matter of fact, the social media has become an expression, as a platform for expression of those ideas, where if you cannot, say, challenge somebody at one level, you can challenge the other. So it's a level playing field which we have got to require, but the people have to understand that even the most level field, some people would be left behind. As a matter of fact, perfectionists want a level field for others, but not for themselves. For themselves, they'll prefer a higher elevated field. Like, when there's a race being run, you give some benefit to the people who are younger or shorter, which is not done. And as a matter of fact, perfectionism is a culture which preys on insecurities. It is preys on amplifying imperfection, impelling young people to focus on their personal deficiencies. As a result, some young people brood chronically how they should behave, how they should look, what they should own, essentially agitating to perfect themselves, their lives, their styles, their way of life, and their way of living. It's no wonder that there's a substantial evidence that perfectionism is associated today with depression, anorexia nervosa, getting too thin, suicide ideation, early death, and these are some of the factors. We feel a deep sense of sympathy, essentially, with these people. For the first time on the record, young people are expected to be materially less well off in adulthood than their parents. Because we have seen that too much of money is not a guarantee of happiness. Money is happiness, but not too much of it. What is at stake is the mental and physical well-being. And that mental and physical well-being is being threatened by the hidden epidemic of perfectionism. Now, this is a time to change. Let the universities and the colleges, let the political leaders and the civil servants who help shape these organizations operate. They should take steps to safeguard the welfare of the younger people. They must resist marketized form of competition at the expense of the younger people's mental health. They should teach the importance of compassion and competition. I would not say competition should not be there, but it should be compassion with competition, or competition with compassion. If people do not rise, the rise of the perfectionism and its associations is likely to continue unabated. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. At least one country has realized that this competition the urge to be perfect needs to be changed, altered. And what they have done is wonders. And the beauty is that with that end in view, that perfectionism should not be an epidemic, the efforts they took, the steps they took resulted in their performing better. I'm referring to Norway. Norway, kids are taught not to compete with each other until they are teenagers. Can you believe it? And Norway is the most decorated nation in the world in the Winter Olympics. Between 1924 to 2014, this country accumulated 118 gold, 111 silver, and 100 bronze medals. And Norway has won 329 medals in 90 years. Can you believe it? Even this time, they scored more than 13 gold, 14 silver, 10 bronze medals. And the total population of that country. Can you imagine? 5.2 million. But then they say, we have a strategy. Now it may sound bizarre, but they say the strategy is accord that the encouraging and involving children to play sports are to read and study without letting them keep score or count who is winning, who is at the top, who is losing, until they reach their teens. And they say both the study, competition, whether sports or studies, should be fun and friendship. We think it's better to be sole child in this way than they can concentrate on having both fun and also compete with their friends and develop. And each one develops together. Another idea about the competition introduced is that having fun and socializing even today remains strong. When the kids have been taught to have fun and enjoy together and then compete, they do not outgrow that habit. This becomes a part of their psyche. And they continue to behave even when they are grown up. And that's why the spirit of camaraderie in the Norway athletes results in better medals, better coordination, better harmony. There's no cutthroat competition, there's a harmonious competition. And the result is more mentally healthy people. And this is what we need to adopt all over. Let the children not be compared to the other children. What are you doing? Look at your neighbor, look at your friend, he's doing better. No. You don't have to compete. Say, do better. That's it. But why compare with another child? To develop a sense of rivalry. If we want to save our new generation, there's a need to have competition with compassion. I'm giving this slogan to you. Implement it for your children. Implement it for your community. Implement it for your country. Implement it for your coming generations. And if you don't do so, be prepared for half lunatic, suicidal maniacs, rapists and murderers at every turn. And then don't say, why is it that lawlessness is increasing? You are responsible for that because you have not taught children to have competition with compassion. Till you do it, be prepared for the spread of the epidemic, which shall cause untold havoc with our coming generation. Thank you.